My name is Tiffany Haynes, and I'm one of the Young Adult Advisory Group members on the Family Framework Project. What drew me to this project was my personal lived expertise in housing instability and system involvement. And I wanted to be a part of something that would inform change, especially because of me knowing what it feels like to navigate systems as a parenting young person.
Hello, my name is Alexis Kramer, and I work for an organization called Freedom from the Streets and No More Streets. I advocate for the homeless community, and I also help families that are dealing with child protection. The reason why I joined this project was because I have lived experience of being homeless, and as I stated, I'm also dealing with child protection. And I want to make changes to all the other states in the world and prevent other families from going through what I experienced.
So throughout the development of our project, we realized that there was not like a uniform or consistent practice of making sure that no child sleeps outside. So what that resulted in was many families on extended waiting lists or not being placed in housing in a good timing, resulting in them sleeping in cars, tents, abandoned buildings, and just other adverse experiences that influence and impact the families. So a flexible crisis option that welcomes space for children and parents also really meets the needs of the majority population of people who are impacted by homelessness. And when assessing who is in need and what services are needed, it's very important to craft the services and responses based on the communities that you're serving.
The benefits of having hotels or motels as a shelter option in terms of crisis for families is because each families get to have their own space. And if they have their own space, and then it causes less conflict with other families. So um, it makes it a lot easier for them and more convenient for them because they don't have to worry about like arguing with someone like, who gets to take a shower at this time, or, basically taking turns. So that's mostly what a shared space usually does. But when you're in your own space, you like feel like it's more private. You can do whatever you want. You can hang out with whoever you want.
I believe it's important to have hotel and master lease options because those environments create a space for families to continue on their normal activities and sustain themselves. For example, being able to prepare meals that you otherwise would not be able to a shelter option, or being able to do that intimate family time, or maybe even work with your children to do their homework. I really hope that it reduces the impact of systemic and structural racism. I also hope that we'll start to develop a culturally inclusive response to family and youth homelessness. In addition to that, I'm hoping that we'll start to develop, start to think about changes that we can make in spending and funding strategies where requirements can start to be flexible enough so that we're actually giving families what they need and we're being informed by their needs on how the system is structured rather than the system being structured and their needs being met based on what we already have in place. I also really hope, it wouldn't be me if I didn't speak on the hope for policy and practice changes to happen. And I strongly believe, I'm a person who does strongly believe that things should be informed by people who are impacted. Solutions should be informed by people who are impacted. And we should be thoughtful and intentional about creating spaces for that to happen and including their voices, not just their voices, but their expertise in all processes of what that looks like. We need family input. We need those things. We need a system that is not just responsive, but inclusive. You know, thinking about these different cultural backgrounds, thinking about these families' different identities, even thinking about how families identify themselves in the structures of their families, like systems that actually support those different family structures and ideologies around what that means to different communities and what housing means to different communities. Because for some, housing housing is not just a place where you lay your head at night, it's also a place for peace, a place where you feel safe, a place where you can debrief, a place where you can bring people in. You know, it's people see family as, you know, housing, a home. A home means different things to people, but I think we all can come to a consensus that housing should be a fundamental right and thing that's provided and that should suit the needs of the families who need, well, not just who need, everyone needs housing, but of the families who are in need of affordable housing.
We want to prevent so many people from being outside, especially if winter comes up. It'll be too cold for families to be outside, and they could be at risk of being involved with child protection or law enforcement. And we want to prevent that from happening, because once those professionals are involved, a child could be taken, and it could lead to so many loopholes on how for the parent to get their child back.